Welcome back to the podcast. Today we got my really good friend, Michael Elliott, on. Last time the show was amazing. We had some huge breakthroughs. Today we're going to talk about what are the biggest businesses that you should be looking at for 2026. Michael's got a podcast coming out about that, and we're going to really talk about those things. Michael, welcome to the show.
No, thank you, Anthony. It's great. Thank you for having me back. The first one was great, and I think this one's going to be even better.
You're looking pretty good nowadays. I mean, it feels like you got some good stuff happening.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I like to think so. I think blessings are controlled maybe by a higher power, but I just get up every day, give 100%, and then you reap the rewards of that. So the energy that you put out there is what you get back. And I like to think that every single person that meets me thinks that the energy that I give off is good. So I don't think I'm here by accident, but I'm certainly not at the end of my journey yet.
You're not. I mean, listen, it's a lot of fun being around you, the ideas and stuff. And guys, you got to go look at Michael's podcast. It's not a podcast, it's a YouTube channel. It's really Michael Elliott AI. Go look at it. The stuff that he talks about, especially young folks are looking, hey, where do I want to go? What do I do? Those folks that are re-careering, those that are out there that are looking for some new, fresh ideas in 2026. It's never been a better time than right now, right, to jump into the AI world, and Michael makes that journey really easy to do. So it's exciting. We're going to dive in. We start looking at growing a company for 2026, and there are a few places that you kind of pointed out that are great places to start. Let's kind of dive into them.
Yeah. So there's a lot of individual opportunities when it comes down to AI. So AI is a massive ball of just flames that is the future. It's full of opportunity, but a lot of people, they trip over when they think about where to actually focus their time, and they end up just chasing their tail, basically. And my job on my YouTube channel is literally to try and put people on the straight and narrow and say, hey, you don't need this, you don't need that, you do need this. So I've prepared a few examples of this today of 6 of the businesses that I think 6 of the businesses / industries that you need to focus on in 2026 if you're going to make it a success of it. And they actually scale, and I will deliver them in a way which is from the easiest option all the way up to the most difficult option. The most difficult option is very interesting because it's very, very niche. So it's the hardest one to do. But if you cracked it, you would be the king of that arena. So when it comes down to the first place I would start, it would be like AI virtual assistants. Even to this day now, I don't particularly like, if anyone has seen my YouTube channel before, I personally don't like the phrase AI agent, but AI agents help you schedule your day. You're a busy man, I'm a busy man. Little inconveniences, email structure, the structure of your email inbox, your tasks, the jobs that you have at hand, the summarizing of individual reports, all of these things that you can build out in AI virtual assistants. It has the lowest barrier to entry. There is very, very low costs because you're using effectively free tools, Claude, ChatGPT, etc. Until you get to a point of scaling, the client will pay for their own when it comes down to deployment. So you don't have to worry about that. And you can deploy agents which literally allow you to buy back an entrepreneur or a business owner's time. And the thing with that is that I will pay you as much money as physically possible if you can give me my time back. Like that is it doesn't like, obviously, of course, there is a limit to value proposition. But what I'm saying to you is that if you could give me a day back a week, that's worth a lot of money to me. So focusing on the AI agent, the AI virtual assistants, it's almost that easy that it's overlooked. But if you could just go to a CEO and say, hey, listen, I can report on all of your sales data, all of your daily activities, what you summarize every meeting you've got for that day in the morning. I can organize your inbox, and I can also ensure that any major alerts that you get pinged. And you deploy that, you get 4 or 5 clients under your belt paying you $2 to $5K a month for the service. It could even charge higher setup fees, so it actually gets higher than that. Then, you solve massive problems for busy business owners, and you do it at a relatively entry-level grade for you. So that is open to anybody with any drive to actually learn in the AI space. And that personally would be the first place, if anybody's listening to this, that wants to get into AI, but doesn't know the business model of how to do it, would be the first place that I would start. The VA market.
What's great about it is you've got me inspired to do that, right? So look, guys like myself who taking that step, essentially what you're doing is you're helping that CEO, that founder, that leader of a company take the step. What you're doing is you're holding their hand on the way over. And here, I promise you, they'll pay you lots of money to do that. Exactly what Michael's talking about. I'm going through that right now with somebody. And part of it is, I just don't know here. I'm a cat chasing a laser pointer, right? We're implementing AI everywhere in the company. And now they've got my inbox. They've got my smart sheet. I can run the company, see my day-to-day tasks in a summary compared to, having to jump in there all day long. And when something's important, I know it's important. So here, what he's talking about is you're being the person to help help these guys take that step over. And so, Michael, how do you train yourself to do that?
Well, I mean, 100% of the information that you would need to start that sort of business is literally on YouTube and online. And that is the case for 98% of things in the world these days. Unless you're a lawyer or you're, a conveyancer, what can't you teach yourself? No code platforms like N8N, like make.com. The amount of tutorials that I've got, that other creators have got, big players in the game, Nick Sarayev, Nate Herc, these individual people, they all teach you A to Z on how to implement these systems. And it can be literally as easy as drag and drop. Like, I have sold flows for 4 or 5K that actually would take me 15 minutes to build, because I'm not selling my time. I'm selling you. Well, I'm buying you. You are buying your time. So if I was you, I would just use all of the free resources. You can use AI to help you along the way. If you want to niche down. If you don't, and you want to make it something generic that every entrepreneur and business owner can use, feel free to do so. But when it comes down to actually delivering this, everything that you need all comes from within. It's all out there on the internet. There is nothing that you can't find. You can search for anything on YouTube now. If I wanted to learn about why raccoons do a certain thing, I guarantee you I can go and find it like this moment. Right? So it's the same thing. Self-educate, discipline, like be somebody who is willing to get up and learn. And if you are, that is easy. You break the ice on that. You could start with no knowledge of AI, and you could have a business running inside of 2 weeks with that section, 1,000%.
Well, what was great about it for me was having someone that did that with me. It was like the first time I put my credit card on the internet, right? I was terrified, like, oh my God, I'm gonna put my credit card on the internet and everybody was going to have it. And the first time I did it, I cut through a barrier and the credit card companies had me covered. You're doing the same thing for that leader, right? You're helping that person really start to organize. Every single leader today knows they need to be AI driven and they need to buy back that time. In a world where things are coming at you 1,000 times faster than our grandparents did, these tools buy back that, slow down that noise and give you the ability to focus. And that's what's happened for me. It literally was just like having somebody who showed me to click this prompt, move this over here. How do I hook my Outlook up to my GBT that really now I have this amazing summary and I don't miss anything. It reads all my emails, all the important ones I get pretty quickly.
I must have missed your phone call when you needed some help with this, Anthony.
I just watched your videos. Yeah, that's all it was. It was that and the team that surround me. All the prompt engineers grabbed me and they're like, "Look, we can do this for you." I'm like, "This is great." And today now I've got this, I've got this ability to look at my, organization in a whole different way. Now, look, it still takes a little bit of work, which is what I think they're going to get paid for. They keep bringing new ideas to me. Right. So those prompt engineers, essentially what they are for me are prompt engineers. And, they're bringing more and more ideas of places. And I tell them the problem I'm having and they solve it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like on point 6, finally, like the last thing, you're right. Anybody expecting just to jump into this and just wing through it and everything's great and you're going to make millions, that don't happen in real life. Like, if you're not an entrepreneur already, you won't have been smashed in the face 95 times like I have, and I'm sure you have, like with the way that happens. But the point is that the barrier entry is so low that with some commitment and some determination, you can do it. But like, the macro picture actually backs up everything that I'm saying, and it will do for every single one of these points. So Grandview Research, the virtual assistant market, and I've got it on a laptop here, which is why I'm looking down, but the virtual assistant market is projected to hit 30 to 35 billion by 2030. So you're in that rate is compounding at over 20% per year. So you've positioned yourself over the next 5 years in an arena, in a space where your business can do nothing but grow. Because if you do things right, because obviously demand is going to continue to increase, and that's what the prediction is. So yeah, like, that's number 6. That's, for me, it's the entry point, but for me, it's a little bit too boring for me. Admin's not my thing. So even though I do implement them for businesses when they need them, it tends to be part of a bigger package, which takes me into my 5th point, if you want me to hit it.
Yeah. So the point I'm just trying to get at is it may not be fancy, but for those of you that are looking, right, or you're looking, this is a great place to start, and you're building an easy foundation with the people that you're doing it for. Right, for like the guys who are doing for me, that was their barrier of entry to get to me. Right, I just want to be able to hook up my Outlook calendar to my AI and get summaries. That was the start of that. Now they hooked up everything. I've got everything hooked up to it now, and I can see everything I do now is scannable. Now that was a barrier of entry to get in a relationship with me. Now they're solving much bigger problems, and let's talk about that. So you take them from there, you get that barrier of entry. And the relationship built, and that's a great place in business. A lot of you guys, young people that you've never been an entrepreneur before, you're looking to create relationships that, doing one deal with somebody is useless. Not useless.
The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
That's right.
And it's simple as that. Like, it is true. Like, and like, I agree 100% with what you said, but also, like you said, you fix those problems for you, and all of a sudden the floodgates are open. Well, what else can you fix? What else can you solve? And that's the evolution, and that's how you would go through it. And number 3 on this list, well, number 4 on this list is AI automation agency, which is the next evolution from that first point. So yeah, like you have that. The 5th point, so the next one, so again, this is in order of ease. Like, the next... what I would be focusing on right now is what you're looking for in business is build once, sell to many. Yeah, that has always been the case. If you build something once and can sell it to many, you're laughing. It's why SaaS is the biggest industry in the world, and it's why you don't have to work for dollars. Then it just compounds and you make money. Well, AI content repurposing services are massive, which is what you just touched on this. I don't know if the cameras were rolling at the time, but about how your social presence has started to increase. And we were talking about how, you're starting to get this content out there. Well, I can tell you now, even with all my AI experience, I haven't even built myself a content repurposing tool. I just post on the main platform that is YouTube, my Instagram, everything else, behind the scenes shots, videographers. I know people that are in this arena, and I don't do it because I'm focused on the core subscriber base right now. Is my mentality. However, that mentality is wrong. What you should be doing is repurposing content. Now, if you could look for me, if you do this now, you should be reaching out to me when you end this podcast. Because you should be like, Michael, you're creating golden pieces of information and nobody's seeing it anywhere other than YouTube, right? So help me. Here you are, I'm educating you. Like, the audience, if you hear me, I've just told you I've got a problem with AI content repurposing. The reason why I haven't fixed it is because it's just time. Like, I'm working on client delivery, I'm working on this, things that, whatever. But AI content repurposing, the cost to entry of that is low. The effort that goes into that, I would say, is medium, because you have to have taste, you have to understand each individual, the element of scroll stopping, the element of being able to produce content in different niches if you're not going to niche down. There's a lot of things that you have to do. So I would say the effort is mid, but 4 to 7 clients on the books, you're earning 15 to 30K a month in that space. And do you know how many creators there are just like me who have grown multiple 7-figure businesses just like me, but just, and even in the AI space, just like me. But if you just gave them a nudge and said, hey, listen, I've got this content repurposing engine. You pay me $3,000, you can have it. This is what it does. Da, da, da. Do you know, I would just bite your hand off, because it saves me having to build it. It saves me having to get one of my devs on it when they're working on bigger, on bigger projects. So what I'm saying is that, you know, content creators, coaches, these people, they need an AI content repurposing system built. And that is why I think that is the, you know, is the next stage, if you like, from a step, you know,
so let's talk about that a little bit. So this is a tool that takes the content of the data, a video, a podcast, a short. It takes this content and it repurposes it for multiple platforms.
Yeah, so you know, right now you've got things like Opus Clip, like you create a YouTube video, gives you some clips on Opus Clip. Then you might, like traditionally, you might have used something like Buffer to schedule these posts out. Well, all of that is so easily automated that it's ridiculous. I could post one long form content out, have a human in the loop, and literally, like, just before all the posts go out, I sign them off. I just say, yeah, that's great. Or someone in my team signs them off. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. The tools are out there, but you're just the glue. And you solve just a major problem for somebody. You're helping them grow their personal brand across multiple channels. What's that worth? Well, it's unquantifiable, but all I know, and other content creators and other coaches know, or maybe they don't know, but you can educate them on it, is that you should be visible everywhere. Like, you should be visible in as many places as physically possible for you to grow your personal brand. And your personal brand is going to be the only thing that's left in 5 years' time that separates you from the pack, if that. And that's backed up by Goldman Sachs. So the creator economy is set to nearly double. So from $250 billion today, as it stands, to $480 billion by 2027. That's 2027. We're on the eve, roughly, of 2026. So within the space of the next 12 to 24 months, depending on the exact date that number was based on, that the creator element is going to double. And it's because everybody's understanding the power of personal brands now.
You know, so like, how far are you when you're talking? So look, can I take a YouTube video? Because this is something, look, for us, we spend hours today taking YouTube video, editors rip it down a bunch of little scenes. We do use a couple of tools that that pull some of the shorts out for us, and then we can post them. But are you saying that you could go from video to doing the editing, to doing ripping this content down into pieces, and then actually posting it on the multiple platforms all simultaneously?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, that's one that we got to talk about when this podcast is over, because that's for us. That's a game changer right there. I mean, we spend 40 hours a week with a team of people that break down each of our podcasts, bring out some content, post them in different places, and in order to get to get seen out there. So that's a good one for us to look at.
I can do you that. Yeah, we can discuss that. That's something.
So just jump into that, because I think that's a great one. I mean, as we get smarter and smarter at this, you're exactly right. I've learned more through these kind of videos with you and other podcasters that are doing this than anything else. It's a great spot to be in, and in a world where those first videos we built, they looked like grass growing, right? You could look at our first videos. We had 30 downloads, and I think 20 of those were my mom. Just she wanted to see your son. All right, so good. So now we can repurpose content. That's all right. So we got one that's really about organizing and making people's life efficient. Now we got repurposing content and blowing that content up for content creators in a world where that's more important. We know that's the growth model for the future.
And you've just proven case in point as to why this is critical. So that's fantastic to get into. Again, relatively easy, and the fact that that's going to double over the next 2 years is a great, which is why I am promoting it as something that people need to get involved with. The next step would be, so the rank number 4, if you like. So we've done 6 and 5 now. This is number 4. The fourth one would be an AI automation agency. Now, both the cost and the effort in terms of getting into this in both medium, there's going to be some upfront costs to get involved, and especially if you don't have the skill set and you need developers to assist you. But effectively, what you are doing now is you are no longer just building AI virtual assistants. You're automating businesses from end to end. And I've done this for clients like DirecTV. I've done this for clients like Mercury Holidays. I've automated their whole process, whether it be, well, for the two specific businesses I just mentioned, I've done everything from literally the minute an inquiry comes in to the minute that the inquiry is like closed, lost, and then the nurturing funnels that are involved in keeping in touch with them, SMS marketing, etc. So an AI implementation and automation agency should be looked at more like you become an architect. So you mentioned earlier, your guys get together, you have a conversation, you've got some prompt engineers or engineers, whatever, and they're like, hey, we could probably automate this for you. Well, what I do, this is exactly where I am now at my stage, is I speak to a business owner, normally an SMB, the large corporates will have their own internal teams, but like any SMB, which is obviously ridiculously high, hundreds of millions, it's still an SMB.
Plenty of inventory.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got a massive gap here where you can go for, and you look at their business from end to end and you say, hey, your sales team aren't chasing inquiries properly. Your lost list, as you call it, which to me is a not yet list, which is people who haven't signed, you'll be able to scrape 5, 6, 7% out of that, like just by hitting them with tailored, personalized SMS and email marketing. You can go through any automation for a business. It depends on everything: lead gen, e-commerce, their industry, whether they keep a product, a physical product stock, do they need product sheets automating, whatever it might be. What you can do it. Like, there is not a lot that you can't do now. And that's what the AI automation agency and implementation agency is. It's looking at a business from the ground up. And I have a very, very big leg up here because of the fact that I, obviously having grown multiple 7-figure companies, I know where the bottlenecks are before they even show me, because I've seen it. I've seen it around for other businesses and I've seen it for myself. So yeah, the AI automation agency is basically just the AI virtual assistant model, but just on a little bit of juice, like pumped up, but is also a lot more work, and you have a lot more responsibility because you're automating everything manual inside a business, but you've got to make sure that it's bulletproof and production ready before you actually push it live, or you're going to tang someone's business.
At least you'll cause a lot of frustration. We're working right now with that internal team who are currently working on those breakthroughs right now. And what we've noticed is the skill set that we're kind of learning and going. We've had these breakthroughs in different components of the business where one AI model doesn't work. So far, we've had to create individual GPTs for different components that then, will take a group of data or a process down, and then we'll have one AI model that'll manage that, and then one that'll chunk it, and then one that'll break it down, and then another one that'll bring it back together, and then be able to execute it. So a lot of what we're learning today, for us is, we spent a lot of money as an organization to do that, and having someone like yourself or look, for those that are out there that are listening going, hey, look, I want to get into this, it's a great spot to be in, because every organization understands it. We certainly do, that having AI efficiencies, right? Our goal today is to do ground up buildings in 30 days, right? We want to be able to build much, much faster than ever before. We're able today to do things for clients in the construction world that are just game changers. This 2026 will be a game changer in the industry of redneck construction is gone. The world where AI can now control and manage, process, and see through things that the human brain just couldn't hold on to. It just was too much. And today, having coaches like yourself that can come through and help guide a company through that is great. Now, it takes, for us, we've noticed it takes quite a bit of a team. to do that, because we're working day and night. We have two groups of people. We have one group that's here in our offices in our headquarters that are working on that, but we also have a group that's outsourced that work overnight, right? So we leave them with some tasks, and they go we'll parse some things apart, and but we're really learning a lot of the stuff that we're figuring out are the different AI. The different AI are working separately, and having someone that knows that is kind of hard, right? How did you get through that piece of it where you started to really understand, ChatGPT does this really good, but Claude does this and Gemini does this. How are you doing that, and how are you integrating multiple AIs into those systems?
Yeah, so it depends on what you're trying to achieve. And these days, there's a new model every 2 weeks from each individual platform, like as you go out. So the fact of the matter is, you should forget about the models. Not in production. When you're trying to produce something like you are and you're using the models, that's fine. But the model output is all based off of your prompting and how good you are at generating this beast to be what you need it to be.
Yeah.
Are some platforms more powerful than others right now? Yes. But and I know that by Tuesday next week, there's going to be a new ChatGPT 5.3, or there's going to be
which brings in a whole other problem. As soon as that, you'll be working on this model, then all of a sudden you get the update and it changes out the configuration of it, and you have to update your prompt to accommodate that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that what's happening right now is the leap from like GPT-3, okay, to like today was absolutely stupendous.
Stupendous,
yeah, like it was crazy. But when you look at it now, as the businesses are deploying these flows and using these AI tools and different models, as you look at it now, the gaps are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The jumps are never as big as what they are before. Like, you have Claude with the new code and design model, which is amazing, and it's one that I use right now. It's exactly the one that I use for the majority of things. But I would just say to you, like, you give me two exact flows. Like, let's use the AI content repurposing service. Let's say that number 5. Let's say we took that one, and you built that with ChatGPT and you built that with Claude as the language, right? 2 separate businesses somewhere. You would be able to get the same quality outcome out of the best model using both of them. You would just have to approach the implementation slightly differently. So do you know what my advice is to people is actually the complete opposite. My advice to people is to master one. Master. Yeah. Become extremely proficient in one model. So you have to use all the other models. You might want to use Nano Banana Pro. You might want to use Sora. You might want to use these things. And of course, you have to use them. But when it comes down to direct chat, LLM, system prompt engineering, find your flavor, find your poison, pick it. And then from there, you will have an extremely solid base. And if you ever have to cross over, it'll be easy. But the reason why I say that is because the biggest thing that I've seen kill everybody's AI dreams is that they chase all of the new shiny tools. And it's like, so what? They've got a new model out now. I could show you flows that I have running now live for businesses, right? That would run the same on, and I know that there was a massive uproar when they graveyarded their models, but it would have run the same on an older legacy ChatGPT model than it will do today. It depends on the strenuous and how deep you really go in and pushing it to its limits. If you talk about things like video creation with Sora, for example, Sora is incredible. And then Kling 2 is also incredible. VO3, is amazing with their new version. But my point is, mate, is just that there's always going to be a new version. And you have to just ensure that you're proficient in the core fundamentals that get you the right output every time. And if you can do that, you have a repeatable business.
So we're getting some places where the different models have different capacities. Gemini is able to take in much larger chunks than, some of our prompts are now, call it a million tokens. And we're really getting, these are getting to be ginormous. Now, what token management, token process, we're now, in order to make this thing viable later on, that's a whole nother group of workflow that we're working on, is, trying to make some of this stuff a lot less token heavy, just because of, the long-term cost of that. So, that's kind of where they came from. They said, look, it was about doing this. And I think, we were starting to go back and forth between, one model versus multiple models, and why they went down the, so, look, it's like, they're like artists, this teams, I look at them and go, you got to pick one artist. You can't have multiple artists, one architect that runs the system. And
you know what the other thing is as well? That overpowers something. So if a task is simple, if that part of your flow is simple, or your part of the business is simple, you can afford to use an older model, or a model which is less powerful, because it will get you the output. And that's what I'm saying. Everybody thinks that all of the new models are the bee's knees, and they are in most cases. Then ChatGPT 5, when that first came out, had some big problems. But when it comes down to the actual implementation of them, sometimes you can afford to use a lesser model in order to get the exact same quality output and use the main model for the heavy lifting. Like, you don't have to, you're not pigeonholed into a model 100%. Like, I use all sorts of different models. And it's all about what the outcome is on the other side. It has nothing to do with what model you select. It has, of course, again, I'm not trying to make people think that the model doesn't matter, because it does. But what I'm saying to you is that it's all about the output on the other end. And if that output is production ready, nobody's going to ask you what model you used.
Right. I know, exactly right. Our breakthroughs have, you can't even understand what the back stuff is. Once we create the user interface, nobody on the outside cares. In fact, that's the whole game, is that they don't care what's on the backside of it. They just want the user interface to be of ease. And that's really what we all look at Apple going, all right, look, Apple's the king of making things, easy to operate and intuitive. And we really want to make these tools that, we're selling to the marketplace today. These are things we built for our internal company that are now breakthrough products that we can, sell to outside the company.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what I mean. You're working on the plays. You're basically following some of these steps in their own individual ways. And, I think that you're right to be doing so. I certainly am. I have got plans. So yeah, like, I think that we're in a similar boat with everything that we're trying to do.
All right, so now we got 6, 5, 4. Let's go to 3.
3. So when it comes down to 3, it's AI lead generation agency. And this is a tricky one, because to be able to generate leads via AI doesn't mean that AI itself has to find the leads. Like, you can use AI tools that generate leads. Lead reselling has been around since, I was a baby, whatever. Like, people would get a lead, they would pass it on, they would do whatever. Like, lead reselling's been around forever. But if you can build a lead generation platform that allows people to come to you to purchase leads from you, there's some big ones out there now, like Bark and stuff, that do this. But if you can create a system where you, like, let's say you specialize in conveyancing, and you can deliver conveyancing, but conveyancing's a bad idea, because it's obviously you move once and then you're gone. Let's say something like a PPC agency, like a PPC service, for example. A PPC agency wants to buy PPC leads from businesses. So you go out there and you create an automated system that can use Perplexity to deep dive on each individual business, use Instantly and something like Inboxology, where you buy your inboxes from, put all of that together and piece it together into a flow where you can actively generate yourself consistent warm leads and book calls. You could become an AI lead generation agency. And what that would mean is simply you invest your money. This is why the cost is I don't want to say it's high, because if you're using cold email, it's not that high. I send 6,000 cold emails a day. So, cold email does work. But when it comes down to the impact that you can have with a lead generation agency, there's not many businesses out there that don't want more leads. And your possible return on investment from this and the revenue that you can generate can be in the hundreds of thousands if you get this right.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because we've had some real breakdowns in these areas. So that lead generation, burning IP addresses, going through, we just haven't had a consistent long ramp with that. So it seems like we can get the generation put together, we can get the email list put together, but IP addresses, and it seems like you just get them tuned up. We flip through IP addresses on some of these platforms, we'll go through 10 a day. And, we're finding that makes it more and more difficult to make it a consistent, viable option on lead generation. So, the email, I mean, look, my want is to be able to send out 50,000 emails a day to everybody in the industry, and just in different ways. I mean, it doesn't have to be bombard them with stuff, but like just get content out to them. If it's in the podcast world, really just introduce new stuff in the podcast, or if it's in the construction world, stuff that we're doing as a brand, but just getting content out there. But we've had some real significant issues with the, burning up IP addresses.
Yeah, I'd have to have a look at what the significant issue is. I mean, I don't know where you're sending them from or what platform you're using, but I've never run it. Well, I've never run into an issue. I've had a couple of issues, but if I, for example, used Instantly, and I only use big tools because I use a tool that's cheaper than what I'm going to tell you. But the reason is because it's more technical to set up. So if you were to go to Inboxology, buy 100 inboxes, you can send 30 emails a day. From that, you could buy 10 and send 300. That's perfectly fine. That's plenty of emails a month. As an entrepreneur listening, depending on how big you are, to start this off, because it'll cost you, $10 for an inbox, and then $4 a month, $5, $6, whatever it is. So you buy the amount of inboxes that you want. You put them into Instantly. You have them pre-warmed up. Put them in the warming pool. So you don't send any emails from that email address right away. You have them in the warm-up pool where they are being bounced. Emails are being sent and received from that inbox automatically by Instantly itself, which is an AI tool, instantly.ai. And then if you go to, Apollo, the scraper for Apollo is dead now. You can do it through Google My Business. You could use something like Vane and Sales Navigator from LinkedIn, but probably the simplest way for you to go and get leads would be something like ampleleads.io, where you can go and buy them. It's still working from the last time that I used it. And then you put those emails that you scrape into something like Neverbounce. And Neverbounce is it's not costly, but it depends on your radar. That's the thing. But you put them through Neverbounce, which tells you the percentage chance that email's going to bounce. And then when you have that structure, you can actually know that your lead list is actually high quality, high delivery probability, and significantly less issues with bounce rates. Not only that, just we're on the Inboxology front where you buy the emails from, you can buy both Google and Microsoft. So if you split it, so you buy a certain percentage of Microsoft, Instantly automatically knows to email Microsoft emails from a Microsoft email that you have inside of Instantly already. So yeah, I'm not sure on the specific issues you're facing. I've never run into an IP address issue, and I send 3,000 a day. I know you want to send more, but I don't know if it's the way you're approaching it, something in terms of settings.
I don't think we've figured out some of these never bounce. I don't know that we're doing that. We've got a couple of different platforms that we're using, but I think it's, again, these are getting smarter and smarter, and I guess other people have run into these problems. So having something like Never Bounce, which is something we haven't heard of. The first time I heard of it. So I think that's what we're missing, is that again, and this is what Michael, what you do great at, which is really the spot that why entrepreneurs out there need to get a coach like you to go through this, right? Having a person take you through these places and help guide our teams. I mean, our teams are all up to the right stuff, but when they come back to me and go, hey, look, I just spent X number of dollars to get a platform, and I got, a really bad run rate on these. I mean, we're not getting there. And day one, they'll do great. Day two, they'll do great. I mean, all of a sudden, these IP addresses start burning out pretty quick. It feels frustrating.
Yeah, no, I get you. One thing you should never do, just for anybody listening, is never use your actual domain.
No,
That should be that should be obviously common sense. But I did just want to drop that in there because I didn't want anybody to DM me on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, you said to go and buy these emails from."
no, do
from
not
somewhere and
blacklist
send
your.
it. Never use.
Yeah, you blacklist your domain, you and your company will suffer greatly. Early days, we made mistakes and did that. We were using, this is back when we were using mail merge, right? We would take mail merge and an Excel spreadsheet and mail merge content and send them out. And somewhere it was like you could do 900 a day through the whole organization. And all of a sudden, one day we I don't know, we blew that up and we got blacklisted. It took 5 years to get that stuff back to clean our domain up. It was just painful.
Yeah, it's scary. Got to be careful with cold email, but it does work. My response rates fluctuate, but some of my campaigns can have like a 4.5% to 5.5% response rate. It's not the best. It's not the best I've ever seen, no, but like it's pretty decent. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I try and draw a Picasso every time I try and write my ad copy. I just know the main USPs of what I try and go for it, and I go for volume. And that's the way that I do it.
Well, just when we're looking at for us, as we're looking at the net to go out there, in the construction world, there's probably 10,000 in the realm of we're looking for people that are doing multi-unit construction. There's our top 100, our top 5,000, our top 10,000, and those lists we kind of rank them. And let's say we can get a list of a top 100,000 names out there, and that we could really put into our generator. And our goal is to approach them we want to burn those 3 letters CDO into their brain from multiple places, right? Just, from their, LinkedIn, their social media, and we want to do that in a way that's not beating them over the head, but more, dropping it in where all of a sudden they can't realize how much they've seen the brand and the brand awareness, right? And then, places where we can ramp it up when we go to a convention or a show or to meetings, or we're going to be in something regionally, so ways for us to move that up, when it's a point, or even a ramp up to a point, right? So if we know that we're going to be at a convention in May, we're starting those campaigns today, right? Those aren't happening. Our goal is to go to a convention, to a show, to have, pre-established appointments already. I've tried to teach guys that, look, if you're going to go to these shows or conventions, we're going to spend thousands of dollars for us to get a booth. Going there and being a fisherman is useless. We want to be spear fishermen. We want to be able to go in with a targeted approach to the way that we're looking at the content or the people that we're approaching. We want to know a lot about them, and then go in and really, the goal there is to really create an outcome on the other side of it that really just articulates us having, deal performance. So, getting much, much better at it. So I think that's where I'm looking at it from brand awareness as a wider net across the. I don't know that we close every deal, but I think it gives us an approach to have people see the brand.
Yeah, and it's never a bad thing. It's one way to go about it. And you're right about the demo. I've never done a show. I've done a show since being an entrepreneur. I've never done a show. In my individual industry, there's loads of opportunities to do shows. I don't have particularly much time for, chit chat, trying to pitch, trying to tell me this, tell me that. I make a lot more money when I'm just sat here on my computer than I would do if I went to a demo. Now, that is only because I decided to do it that way. Whereas I could choose to push my brand out there. Like my brand, for example, as my YouTube brand grows and my personal brand grows and everything falls into place, I've got the vision. No one can stop me. I know exactly what's going to happen over the next 5 years. It doesn't matter like who stays, who goes, whatever. Like the next 5 years are written for me already. I just have to walk the walk and, instead of talking the talk all the time, ensure that I'm in a position where I'm in the foothold. And at that point, then I will have shows. Hopefully, eventually, I'll have not hopefully, let me take that back. Eventually, I will have my own shows where I'm the one speaking at the event and it's my event. And I'm the one introducing you to speed to lead systems through people or through this and through that. But when it comes down to, the approach, I think it's fair to say that both you and I agree that there's more than one way to make a success of anything that you are doing. And your approach there is fantastic. It will work, no doubt. It'll be so imprinted in their brain. It's like subconsciously why big brands pay for advertisements in big movies and stuff.
That's right.
It's like you see a big Mercedes parked at the side of the road. You don't necessarily think in your brain, oh my God, that was the new G-Class. But when you see the G-Class and it comes to purchasing a car, you're like, I saw one of those. They're nice cars. And that's exactly what you're doing here. You're getting your brand in front of people. Maybe some will respond. Maybe we'll do this. But I tell you something, anybody that's at one of these shows and they've recognized you before, they are coming and they're like, these are the guys. I already know who they are. Let me go and speak to them. So I get it. I understand it. I don't for a second think that I was shutting down the idea, but I was just saying my approach to it is very different. But then again, I am a lone wolf. I'd say lone wolf, as a freelancer, and I have my own way of doing things. And is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know, but it works for me.
It does, and it does work. I mean, look, obviously we're together on it, so working pretty good. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah. So with the lead generation agency out of the way, the number 2 is a micro-SaaS, which will surprise nobody. If you can get a micro-SaaS, an AI micro-SaaS that does something, it could be speed to lead, it could be AI voice systems. Dan Martell's got a big one of these, Atlas, like the voice systems that receptionists, for example, if you really laser in and you build something like that, but preferably one that Dan Martell hasn't already built, like something that that in your niche, and this is where people need to think outside the box, because I can't spoon feed it to you. It's like your industry. Where do you come from? Well, construction. Okay. Well, accounting. Okay. Well, this. Okay. Whatever that is, what were your major pain points when you worked inside of that business? Okay. Fix those and make them into a SaaS, a micro SaaS. Charge somebody like $20 a month or whatever to have this micro SaaS that handles inbound calls or, plus usage, whatever it is. Make it cheap, make it repeatable if you want to, or go for really expensive and low numbers. My preference with SaaS is always low price in high volume. Then you have a large safety net and you can sell later. So the effort to get into it is pretty low if you know your onions from working in an industry. The cost setup is medium because you have to build the platform. And the key here is that you need to have the experience and information inside of your brain. You can't just pull a micro SaaS out of ChatGPT because everyone else is doing that. You have to think of something that's based off of your unique requirements and your unique experiences. But you might not make as much money with this. You could scale it to the moon and be a massive SaaS, but the micro SaaS space is very, very good at getting you 8 to 15 to 20K a month in recurring revenue. That's nice. With no work.
When you look at micro SaaSes and you're looking at the data, low cost, high volume, and you're getting this out to lots and lots of people. I think something that people miss is the secondary data that you can collect and generate off of those micro SaaSes. I mean, people's locations, there's all kinds of data that's really valuable in the secondary market about these. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So you get all of this secondary data that you can do what you want with within whatever country you're in's legal, obviously, whatever. Like you have to make sure you follow the legal rules in your country, but you can do whatever you want with this data. You can use their feedback to improve the service, have add-ons, bolt-ons to increase the price, but you can also take all of that information and sell them another SaaS. Do something else, create another tool in the same. You can literally take that information and do whatever you want with it within the legal boundaries of your country. So buying data, selling data in general, all of these things, they do exist. Are they ethical or not? I'm not here to argue about that. That's not for me. All of my data is secure and I use it in the right way. But when it comes down to what you actually have, forgetting about selling it, forgetting about any of this, if you look at the biggest corporations in the world, their most valuable asset is the data that they have. That's exactly what it is. It's nothing else. It's not the revenue coming in. It's not the client base. It's not this. It's not that, because none of that happens if they don't have all of that data. And that's why it's a springboard. So you use that springboard to then propel you to the next level and do whatever you need to do with that data.
I just can't iterate or speak enough to data is key. So look, in a world where, like, I'm going to use it in the construction world, in a place where my belief is a lot of us don't even want to look at our own data, right? To get rigorously honest, to look at our data is the gift, right? This week I put a sugar glucose monitor on, right? I'm working on my extreme health, right? Today my health practices are extreme. And why I do that is because, I'm a guy who doesn't eat any sugar, but wearing a glucose monitor has now made it where I can't lie to myself, right? And in a world where if I want to really create longevity, right, extreme ethical, looking at myself from a, really clear, rigorous honesty, that's what it takes. Well, the same thing has happened for your businesses, right? So helping companies see rigorous honesty in their organization. Now, not the kind of honesty that's brutal honesty, right, where you're beating people up with it, but you're using it to really transform the organization, where you can really see performances and how we're doing in the places where we're hurting. A lot of organizations don't want to see that. Ultimately, that's what takes them out.
AI lead generation agency, number 3, stepping back one. That's exactly what you're paid to do. You expose these, and businesses don't like it because you're exposing massive leakages. But, when you're dealing with an 100 million a year company, if they're leaking 10%, that's 10 mil. Imagine what you can charge them to fix that problem. It's a value proposition. Don't ever get beaten into a situation where you're quoting based off of the time spent. No one can ever do that to me. Like, it's the value that I give you that you pay me for. That's it. And like you just said, businesses everywhere literally sitting on gold mines and they don't even know it. And they just let it pass them by and focus. Every business, what do we need? We need more business. We need more business. We need more business. We want to grow. We want to scale. Q4 targets this. Every business is the same. But the good ones and the ones that last and the ones that lead markets, they're the ones that take all of that data and then analyze each section of that data, whether it be retention, whether it be, the churn, the rate that you've got, whatever it might be. Like, you take that information, you use the data, because your clients are already telling you why. Like, when a client cancels, like, for example, if I have a client that canceled for PPC, they have already sent, and obviously I know it now, but they have already sent 6, 7, 8 signals, right? They've already sent the signals. I just didn't see them because of my eyes.
That's right.
Whereas if I use AI to monitor how many times they log it, let's take the SaaS example. How many times have they logged into your SaaS? Are they a frequent user? How many support tickets have they opened? Has their support tickets rate dropped? A cancellation is coming because they've stopped using your tool. So use the data that you have to get out ahead of it and stop the solution. Get someone from the team to give them a call. Explain to them about a new feature. It's not, it's not rocket science. It really isn't rocket science. You know that. But I'll just say it. Business owners or people who run businesses are often extremely arrogant and ignorant to this.
It's absolutely arrogance. It's absolutely what takes you out. Rigorous honesty is the game changer when we can do that as a business owner. It is the toughest thing to get rid of your ego and look at rigorous honesty. And that starts with having data that you can really work with.
100%. Yeah. Data is everything. Like me, I'm collecting emails now, for example, like through YouTube. Like, that's the YouTube. You download my free guides, my templates, whatever. You download them. I have your email. So now, whenever I create a course, a school, or whatever it is that I go on to do, I can reach out to you and say, hey, you were an early adopter. You actually downloaded X before this date. I'll give you a 50% discount for life if you sign up today, or sign up within the next month or whatever using this code. Just think of it like that. Just from me, a very basic level like that. That's me using data. Like, I'm not even using it yet, but I'm collecting it because I know that I'm going to need it. So this is, yeah, and it goes much bigger than that. We could have a whole podcast on data, but yeah, like, everything you've got inside of your company is extremely valuable, and no stone should be left unturned. And if you're not going to use someone like me to do it, hire somebody who's going to do it, like, but inside of your company, because you need someone who holds everybody accountable for each individual section. And trust me, there's millions just left on the table because the people are, I don't want to say lazy, but like
I don't know if it's lazy or, back to your previous point, it's ego, or it's just shame or fear. But look, if I could guide everybody that's listening to us, it's in that vulnerability of scaring the crap out of yourself to really look at your data, to really look at your numbers in a way that's vulnerable. What happens is, clarity of purpose comes out. You can see efficiencies and inefficiencies. You can start to see the character defects of your organization, and then you can start to work on them. And what happens is you can get straight about them. You can't get straight about them if you BS yourself. If you're lying about your budgets, you're lying about your forecast. If you're lying about the people's performances, you may love people, but you really have to hold them accountable for seeing what's happening out there. And without this data, it makes it really difficult.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to polarize myself here, but I would argue that obviously arrogance and yes, all of the other things you just said, but I would argue if you're running $100 million company and you're not monitoring your data, I would argue that it is laziness. Like it's a lack of desire for you to go and do it. And anybody listening to this now, I'm not trying to be provocative, but I'm just trying to say to you that, like, what is stopping you? Like, why do you not want to peek behind that curtain? Because what's actually behind that curtain is a mess. But once you fix the mess, it's millions. So just go and look and fix it. Don't hide and be scared of what you're going to see. Just go and face it head on. Like, I'm not trying to call people lazy. I don't want to come across as offensive. I'm not like that in character, but sometimes I think I've just seen it and I'm like, you just really don't want to take on that problem. And I'm like, and that's it. There is no, it's there. This is the thing, but why you don't want to do it, I can't tell you. So yeah.
Fear. It's got to be fear. Right?
Yeah, but
it's got to be fear. I mean,
what are you fearing though? Yeah, fear of making more money. What's the fear?
It's like, no, I'm going to find out, that I'm wrong or something's not right, or I'm going to have to change, or the things I'm doing. And look, last time I did this, I'm 57 years old. I've had to change so much, but I'm exhausted. Michael, don't make me change anymore. Yeah. But look, in order to be really valuable, I've got to continue to evolve and to see and to get rigorous about the places in my organizations and the stuff that I'm building, of where my actions, my thought, actions, and behaviors are not serving the organization. Ultimately, it's the healthiest thing to do. So be bold and be brave. If I knew when I started what I know today, I would have jumped in it so much faster. Just you couldn't. From there, you didn't make it important. You couldn't see it. You said something during the podcast. I don't mess around with the little guys anymore because I know just how inefficient it is. Right? You go to the systems and networks and the trainings that make it work, and that's the payoff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. And it's where the most value is. And then coming in at number one, to wrap this up,
drum roll, please.
The number one, and this is one you'd have to be very brave to take this on, okay? But this is going to make some superheroes out of people. This is AI security, governance, and compliance. Now, there's been a lot of stuff with Trump and different things in the EU, the laws around AI usage, and these are going to constantly evolve. And guess what? The businesses that are going to need support on that are the largest businesses in the world. Like, they are the game changers. Like, they are literally the ones who are front running markets. And in order for you to, we mentioned data, but when you've got like hospitals, tech firms, regulated industries that are then adopting AI, they have to be in a position where they are doing it ethically, where they're doing it in the correct way. They can't maybe get away with it like a smaller company would, where they don't care about this. This is something that is extremely important for the future, something that you could make like millions a month if you scaled an agency doing this, scaled a company doing this from a compliance point of view. The problem is that it's an absolute massive headache. It has the highest barrier for entry possible. You are held accountable. It's legal, so you're in a position where you've got to be careful. But you know, if you've got the cajones to take something like that on, and maybe it's something that you're in a position where you have experience maybe in the legal sector, for example, and you want to pivot and you're thinking about AI, I'm telling you, the cost and barrier to entry is extremely high, through the roof for this, from the security standpoint. But, you know, when, again, and I'm pulling Grandview research again, but it's because the information is legit, the global cybersecurity market's predicted to hit 500 billion by 2030. So AI governance specifically is growing at 35% plus annually. Like, when you look at that number, that's higher than any of the other numbers that I've given you, and is in a situation where your value proposition would be significantly higher.
So let's talk about let's get real specific about it. So you're talking about ways to monitor organizations or communities or work in government agencies. Talk about what you're reading there.
So you'll basically be a consultant or a third party that's attached to a business. But if you think about major corporations, let's just take, I don't know, Walmart, right? And Walmart want to implement this AI structure, and they have all of this AI systems. They've got AI teams. They've got these individual things, but they are manipulating this data in multiple different ways. They need to make sure that they are compliant with the law. You cannot just allow AI to go and do whatever it wants to do. Like, in terms of, you know, finding individual connections and growing that database, whatever it might be that Walmart, probably a bad example, but what Walmart would do. It's a great example of a company because it's not in tech, but it will have a requirement. You know, there's the same thing happened with crypto. Crypto had exactly the same thing. Legality in crypto is a massive market, because as they have to ensure that they follow specific rules and guidance, there are many, many third-party businesses out there now that either big exchanges that have their own team, or other exchanges that have smaller teams, and that's exactly what's going to happen with this. The net is too wide for me to give you one individual thing. But if you look at major corporations like a hospital, for example, and the data that they handle, that information cannot just be punched into a machine and put out there in ChatGPT and pumped through whatever it's got. It can't be. It all has to be private. So how do they revolutionize that? You know, I don't want my medical records published everywhere. I'm sure you don't. Well, not that there's anything in there.
Weird enough, I've put all my medical records around ChatGPT, which is crazy. You know, just a different story, but a different reason for it. But yes, you're exactly right. So finding ways to help those large organizations to manage their bring AI into a place that needs to be secure. So essentially, you're bringing these models offline into a private environment that can help support these organizations to keep the data separate.
Yeah, you can do that. The recent change to MCP services allowed that, but for something at this level, you'd need something completely different. But like, yeah, you're 100% right with that and bringing that information. But what I'm saying is, that's like the technique, and that would be the advice and solution you would give them. But what they're actually paying you for is to understand that when in the White House, Trump signs that little bit of paper that changes the laws on AI, that your company is compliant with it before you get sued for 600 million. Like, that's the exact reason why you're so valuable, because the laws are going to change as quick as AI is going to change. as it changes, it's going to, obviously catch up. The laws are going to be there. Certain things are going to be implemented. And yeah, you're there to support that in whatever fashion that is. And you're their go-to guy. Just like you have lawyers on retainer if you are in a position where it's necessary. That would be exactly the same way I would expose this and explain it. And I hope that I've done a good enough job of explaining why, because seriously, regulated industries, hospitals, etc., they are going to incorporate AI. They have to in order to be at this pace of the world. But they also have to have compliance with massive regulatory bodies. And you walk in any hospital now and tell me if there's somebody in there that knows exactly what the compliance is with X law in AI. Nobody knows. So that's where you come in. But you have to take it all on your shoulders to have that everything, literally bulletproof. You probably see a lot of solicitors doing this as well moving forward. But
Michael Elliott, your vision, what you're doing. By the way, the channel. Let's put another plug out there for the YouTube channel. Michael Elliott. Michael Elliott AI is the YouTube channel. We're going to put multiple links to some great videos, and the video that's going to explain exactly what we just went through. There'll be a separate video that he has on his channel going through the same topics that we just talked about. We're going to make sure we have all of those links down below. Michael, this is the place where I come for me to get that knowledge, right? You've inspired me. This is our second podcast. I want to continue doing these podcasts together. It helps break down and really create vision for us out there that are in a world where, a lot of people are freaking out. I'm like, stop freaking out. Start paying attention. Get on Michael's podcast. Get on the podcasts that are podcast YouTube channel. Start looking for the data and looking for those green spaces, right, that are open to go out there and really start to create your next $1 billion idea. In a world today where you've got the tools that are so accessible to every single one of us, it's really leveled the playing ground for everybody. Get out there and see how fast you can start to generate these, for you and your company or opportunities.
If you go everybody should, if you are in it, some people will resonate 100% with what I've said. To some people, they'll be like, how do I even create an AI content repurposing service, whatever? And I understand that. But do you know what my advice to anybody with plain Jane would be? What it would be if you have no experience in AI, block out 20 minutes a day in your evenings and go to reputable sources of, AI information. Don't just go and Google some random Reddit post, like I said earlier. Find a reputable source of information, find a tool, spend 20 minutes playing with that tool, Googling its features, using LLMs about its features, play with it, stop, leave it, move on to the next one the next day. Do that for a month and go through the core ChatGPT, Claude, go through all of the free tools, N8N, load up N8N, just look at it, just so you have an understanding of the verbiage and terminology that people are using in day-to-day business. Because if you don't know it, even at a very basic level, that's your first step. And even at a very basic level, you are going to be left behind. And I really don't want that for anybody. So my advice would be like it is to my parents. It's just, you don't have to do anything cute. Just go spend 20 minutes a day improving yourself and improving your knowledge on AI. Head over to my YouTube channel, subscribe to that, because I'm giving that gold every single week. And yeah, it's been great to be back on the pod.
Well, thanks for being here today. Awesome. I really do appreciate it. We'll have many, many more of these. Thanks for being on. Hey, audience members, last week we had a blowout week, 130,000 downloads, unbelievable. But we noticed that 65% of you still got to the end of a podcast and you were not subscribers. If you could take a second and like and subscribe, it gets us the YouTubers like Michael on here. Those numbers do matter. You guys, thank you so much for taking this journey with us. Jonathan and I and the whole team in the background really do appreciate that. Where we're going. So if you could take a second and do that right now, it does make a big difference. So thanks for listening.